On both sides of the state line, parents can exempt their children from otherwise mandatory vaccinations. In an exclusive report, brand new numbers from our schools show more and more parents are choosing not to vaccinate their children. As 41 Action News reporter Garrett Hake shows us, it's a decision experts say can be dangerous.
Receiving an exemption from childhood vaccines in the KC Metro can be as simple as writing a letter. Laws in both states allow parents to sign a letter saying their religion doesn't allow vaccines. And data from 7 Metro school districts show more and more parents are doing just that. In the Olathe School District, the number of students receiving exemptions nearly tripled from 2004 to 2014, up to nearly 2% of the student body, more than 500 students in total. And in Missouri's Park Hill District, 2.6% of the 10,000 students enrolled have received exemptions from one or more vaccines. Last year in Lee's Summit, 233 students had an exemption from the MMR vaccine alone, 1.3% of all enrollees. And in Blue Valley, 1.4% of students received an exemption for at least one vaccine this school year. In districts that broke out the numbers, most of those exemptions were listed for religious reasons. But public health officials say it's fear, not faith, that's motivating many parents not to vaccinate.
There's very, very few organized religions that say you should not vaccinate.
Dr. Stephen Lauer of the University of Kansas Hospital says a now completely discredited British study linking the MMR vaccine to autism is still influencing parents.
They're just not, they're not paying attention to facts, and by not doing that, they're putting their children at risk.
And doctors worry putting other children at risk too, as nearly eradicated diseases like measles creep back into schools where they can spread among unvaccinated children.
It's a perfect setup for it, and for passing those around, especially, again, as you drop that herd immunity, that vaccination rate down, at some point, it can spread.
The Shawnee Mission School District has more than 500 students taking exemptions this year. 85% of those are religious exemptions. A public health report study shows parents who choose not to vaccinate their children are more likely to be wealthy, white, and more highly educated. That trend is reflected locally. The KCK and Kansas City public school districts, more diverse and less affluent than Johnson County schools, each have less than 1% unvaccinated students. Should every kid that comes into Kansas City public schools have these basic immunizations?
I believe so.
KCPS Superintendent Stephen Green receives weekly reports on vaccination levels, which have hardly budged over the last 3 years at around 100 students total.
Any places where immunizations are lagging by school, by grade level, by family, by home, we want to know.
Medical exemptions remain more difficult to obtain in both Kansas and Missouri. Both states require a doctor to sign a form, not just a parent. But of course, online there are resources for parents who are looking for doctors who will sign these forms without a legitimate medical need. And public health officials say that could make the next outbreak in our area worse. In the newsroom, Garrett Hake, 41 Action News.
The doctors traced the recent outbreak of the measles to Disneyland theme park in California. Cases have been confirmed in more than a dozen states.